my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home. Courage, my friend, you do not walk alone. We will walk with you and sing your spirit home.
With Robert as an IAT organizer in 2017 in a training that took place in Bet Jala, Palestine, and he was the lead trainer in this training. And I also had the privilege to kind of keep in touch with him along the 1.5 years around his teaching at the NVC Rising festivals. I just want to let you all know that we are recording this session, so let you all know that. And English is not my first language, so I might lack words at time, and I request for your patience in these moments. And I want to first mention the people and the organizations that are sponsors of and partners that helped creating this event and informing all of you that it happens. So I want to mention the Center for Living Compassion, CNVC, NVC Academy, Cultivating, I hope I pronounced it well, the Diet Meditations, Empathic Way Europe, and the organization I'm part of, NVC Rising. So we all come together with the intention to create a space for the global NVC community to honor Robert and to learn once again with him and from him. So thank you all for being here with us. If you want, you could also write in the chat where you're from and what brought you here, what is important for you in being here together with us. I just want to say that together our tech team is Shachar, that is here. Henner will be here later and replace him. And Lou, she will help with some tech answers if you will put it in the chat. And I also want to thank Mary McKenzie and Jeff Brown. They will lead a big chunk of this event later on. And also to Philippa and Simon that will be assisting in general and also specifically with the chat. And to say that also Heli, my friend and colleague from NVC Rising, is here with us, and she'll also say a few words and host through this event. Okay, so Shachar, I don't know if you did it already, but I want to ask you to put the schedule. Maybe I cannot see it. So you could all see the schedule for tonight. Yeah. Okay. So this is the opening part. We are planning it to be around 15 minutes. And after that, we will start the screening of the session that Robert taught. It's called Cultivating Inner Strength when External Events Are Challenging. And he was teaching this class on May 2020 at the break of the COVID pandemic on the first Global Rising Festival that the NVC Rising team that I'm part of created. Another thing that is important for me to mention now in the beginning is that this event is free. You all know that, because it's important for us to have it available for everyone. And together with this, our intention is also to support the fundraising campaign that was created by Robert's family and friends, aiming to cover the costs of the medical bills from Robert's treatment before he left us. And I'm going to ask you, Shachar, to share in the chat the link to the fundraising page. And if you can't, and if you want, if it will be meaningful for you, if it will be joyful for you, we are welcoming you to support. You can do it whenever is good for you. And you could also support not only by donating, but also by sharing the fundraising campaign with friends, circles, family, maybe someone you know is able to support. So just want to say we are over 400 people now here in this event. So I'm really grateful to see so many people from so many different places. And we will share now, before screening the session, a few words about Robert. We will start with Racheli. And yeah.
Okay, so Robert's wife, Ruth, wrote in the last month, he shared that his goal was to be loved. I think he succeeded. Robert Gonzales' lifelong passion has been in the spirituality of compassionate communication. He held compassionate communication both as a process that helps us connect more authentically with ourselves and others, and as a spiritual practice and a way of living. Robert Gonzales received a PhD in clinical psychology in 1989. He met Marshall Rosenberg in nonviolent communication in 1985. He has been offering nonviolent communication trainings in some form since '86. His original training is as a licensed psychotherapist, and as early as the late 60s, early 70s, Robert met Charles Berner and was introduced to the dyad enlightenment meditation technique. He himself became an enlightenment teacher. He later stated that the Enlightenment Intensive, along with nonviolent communication, stand out for him as the most effective and powerful transformational process that he has experienced. Robert has offered nonviolent communication training for community colleges, high schools, churches, social workers, psychologists, mediators, teenagers, and public groups. He has taught psychology, counseling, and communication at the Prescott College in Prescott, Arizona. In 2000, he established what today is named the Center for Living Compassion. Robert is the past president of the board of directors for the Center for Nonviolent Communication, an assessor for certification. He was one of the co-founders of the NVC Training Institute, a team of NVC trainers who offered in-depth and continuing NVC training in the United States and Europe. He is survived by his beloved wife, Ruth, their children, grandchildren, his two older brothers, and the thousands whose lives he has touched all over the planet as beloved teacher, friend, and guide. As Robert wrote, I see people all over the world sharing and living compassion. In this vision, we are living islands of aliveness and compassion, responding to the deeper dream that lives in the field of life, from our deepest longings to embody love and compassion. In my experience, one of the central features of compassion is community. We come together with a shared purpose to create spaces in which all all parts of us, our pain, trauma, joys, and love are welcome. In the welcoming space, we invoke the presence of life surrounding our fear and allowing the love that is at the heart of all human experience to emerge. We gather here once again to honor and celebrate Robert's life. With love from all of us to you, travel well, dear friend.
I imagine Robert would take a moment to breathe now. So I'm just taking it in. So I want to welcome Mary McKenzie from NVC Academy and Jeff Brown from CNVC and the Living Compassion, the Center of Living Compassion, to take the mic. And just before doing so, I would like to request Shachar to put the link to the fundraising campaign once again, because we had a lot of chat welcoming messages. So maybe it's good to just have it available again. So Mary and Jeff,
You want to say
I pass
hello?
it on to you to say a little bit more about Robert.
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is Jeff Brown speaking. So I'm going to take about 2 minutes to share with you Robert's impact on me and what I perceived his impact was on other people. There's really 2 things that come to mind for me when I think of Robert. One is presence and one is congruency. So presence, Robert was a very powerful way shower for me about what it means to be present to life, to be present to what is within me and emerging through me, and what is present with others and in all of life. And to me, that was such a powerful teaching. I've heard it and I've learned it in many places. And yet there was something truly unique for me about the way Robert demonstrated that and showed me that. And I will be eternally grateful because I am able to be present to what is in a much more powerful way, thanks to Robert, thanks to his model for that. And then the second thing, congruency. I cannot remember meeting another human being in my life with whom I experienced more congruency than Robert. I know Robert in many different ways. He was my assessor. I'm a certified trainer with the Center for Nonviolent Communication. He was my assessor. I slept overnight in his office when I went to his town. I later worked with him as a trainer. I've organized things for him. And most recently, I spent the last 2 years of his life supporting him with his online programs and other things. So I spent a lot of time with him. And in every moment that I experienced Robert, whether he was in the middle of a workshop, waking up, getting food at a cafeteria, or driving in a car, there was congruency, not just consistency, but congruency, that I got this sense that he was who he was, and he was living that in every moment. And I always and only got that from him. As I look back, that is my defining experience of Robert, is congruency about who he was, the integrity and the authenticity of who he was totally, it was whole. There was a sense of wholeness to it. So this is also the impact I perceive he had on others, as someone who showed us, who embodied the sense of congruency and presence, and showed us, I can certainly speak for myself, he showed me what lives in me. And he did it in a way that he didn't maintain the power, but he did it in such a way that I gained the power to see that in myself. And for that, I'll be eternally grateful. Later on, Mary and I will be holding the discussion and facilitating sharing. But that's all I need to say for now. So, Mary.
Thank you, Jeff. I chuckled a little bit when you were talking because I also have slept in his office more than one time over the years. And I just find that kind of funny that we both have spent the night camping out in his office. So I first met Robert in 2000, well, probably the late 90s, actually. But I would drive an hour and 45 minutes each way to go to his practice group, which happened twice a week. And I did that for a few years, I think. He lived, I guess it's obvious, he lived about an hour, 45 minutes away from me. And I was part of a really tiny little NVC organization called the Flagstaff Center for Compassionate Communication at that time. And we had a few really young trainers there. And my favorite way to learn is to learn from different people, the same thing from different people. And so I studied a lot with our local trainers. I also studied with Robert and also Sylvia Haskvitz, who lived in Tucson. Well, she still does live in Tucson, Arizona at the time. So Robert was one of my first trainers. And when I started to study to be a certified trainer, I asked him how he would feel about hiring me as an intern. And he didn't have any employees at that time, and he was trying to build his business. His own business was very young at that time. In fact, he hadn't started the Center for Living Compassion yet. He was really getting started himself. And so he did. So I worked part-time for him and part-time for the Flagstaff Center. And partly what's endearing to me about that time is getting to see Robert really early on when he was just getting started. And part of it was an odd way that we came together in a way. He, just before I went to work with him, I was in a very serious car accident and I had a very serious head injury. So I worked that year with him with a brain that was not operating properly. And we found a way to work through that, which was shocking, really. Really, it was shocking because like I would occasionally forget to even show up for classes that I was scheduled to teach. And Robert would say really rational things to me like, well, why didn't you check your calendar? And I would say, I forgot to check my calendar. I'm so sorry. I'm trying really hard to get this brain to work again, but it took a couple of years actually to recover from that accident. So we worked together for that time, and I learned a lot from Robert about, like Jeff says, about being open and heartfelt. And he was honest with me in ways that I found really challenging at the time, but I still remember and am grateful for. He gave me feedback, sometimes that was sweet and wonderful to receive, of course, but sometimes it was like, wow, really? This is how you see me? This is how you see this aspect of me? And I remember them as some of my most endearing times, and I use them in my teaching. And I've learned from those, and I've changed the way who I am in the world as a result of his very kind and forthright feedback. So I feel like I've known Robert since the very beginning of my NVC work. Later on, we worked many times in the NVC Academy as colleagues. And I feel like he will live in me forever, like really. I think of him often, just as I'm thinking about a thing or going about my life. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary and Jeff. And so we are soon going to move to the screening of the session that Robert was teaching. Rachel, I want to invite you just to say a few words about the session before we go on. And then I will have a few technical matters I would like to address before we start the screening.
Thank you, Lonnie. So we, when we were initiating the NVC Rising initiative in May 2020, we came to Robert as one of the NVC trainers we found most inspiring and we trusted deeply through our encounter with him in the Palestinian-Israeli context in the Mideast, IIT of 2017. He had an immediate yes to our vision of an accessible global NVC event with an emphasis on social change and global community building. In the conversation we had with him about this initiative, we felt that we were sharing the sense that this was a special time on Mother Earth, and I quote, Robert. He said, "It seems to me that we are now being called to stop and listen to life's whisper in our ears." The following session that we're about to watch was one of the 3 that he chose to share in this moment in time, and we find it to be a powerful one. Hope you really enjoy and take something from it for each of your lives.
Thank you. So the recording we are about to start now is 43 minutes. And after it, we are going to have a 5-minute break. And then we are back to breakout rooms. In the end of this recording, Robert explains the exercise. And after the break, Mary and Jeff will lead us through the breakouts that he originally planned and led. And what I want to say is that during the recording, there might be like kind of like black screens with the name of this session. We put it out there to just cover for distracting moments that happened back then in this session that are not so relevant for the session itself. And another thing I would like to request you to do already now is to put 2 lines or 2 dashes before your name in case you would not like to participate in the breakout rooms that is following the break that is after the recording, because the break is the time for the tech team to sort out all the 486 people that are here into breakouts. So this will be already helpful. If you don't have 2 dashes before your name, we assume you are joining the breakouts. Yeah, another thing I want to say is that we will enable the chat, let's say 5 minutes after the screening is starting. Maybe it's good to keep it for 5 minutes just to make, I don't know, sure that everyone can hear. But after that, it will be not available for you, and we will go back to have the chat active when we are back. Okay, Shachar, anything that you would like to say before we go to the screening?
Yes. Hi, everyone. We also are aware that some people's internet connection might not be well enough for the movie to watch it on Zoom. So I've prepared a link for you that you can watch it separately from this Zoom room. I will put it now in the chat. So if you see some stuttering, something's not working, just go to that link and you can watch it there and then come back to the session with us afterwards.
Okay, thank you. I will announce the break once the screening is over, and we will continue from there.
Bring to mind a current life situation, a specific experience that you experience as being challenging, or where you may experience some reaction, not fully in your center or in your strength. And just write down a specific observation to begin with. And I'll just follow the questions in the chat. You may take your time. And then notice any reactive judgments, story, or thoughts when you reflect on this experience, on the observation. Notice what you're sensing in your body, sensations. So you bring the consciousness from your head into the body. Notice any emotional feelings that arise. I'm hoping to go at a slow enough pace so you can get at least something down. Let me know if I'm going too fast. And then lastly, in relationship to what you observed, what are your underlying needs and longings? What matters to you in relationship to this observation? So there's something that you observe in life that is difficult or challenging to experience. That's the external stimulus. And then you go internally, noticing and writing down at least one in each category. Judgments, story, thoughts, body sensations, emotional feelings, and then needs or longings. Yeah. So I'll just give a quick pause there and just to check with anyone who is a participant, and maybe David, you can help me track if there's any, unless it goes to the top. See if there's maybe 3 people who may have a response so far or a question, and I see.
Raise your hand. Yeah, just raise
Raise your hand. I'm only going to take 3 right now, just to move the class along. And we'll start with Louisa from USA, Baltimore. So you can I'm not sure how to unmute. There.
Am I here?
Yes, now I can hear you, Louisa.
Well, Robert, if you can't handle this, nobody can. But man, if you can't help me hold this, I'm sure many people can. But I'm holding the death. For me, it was the 1-2 punch on Monday night in the States of the seeing a black man die under the knee of a white policeman. And I know I could separate these, but then seeing a video of a white woman threatening an African-American man in Central Park when he had made a reasonable request. And I'm sitting here with this 1-2 punch, and I've done this work for years and years and years. And so emotion, incredible sadness, despair, desperation, terror at what we could become in this country, longing for, God, Robert, we all know what we want. I mean, longing to wake up from this nightmare. To have hope.
Yeah, just pause. I'll just pause there for a second, Julia, to give you Louisa, sorry. Clearly what you're sharing right now, I'm hearing within you, is a very intensive response to something that you've observed, a couple of things that have happened recently. And I want to acknowledge that there's a lot there for you, clearly. And so I want, right now, the response I want to give to you is that I'm seeing that you've begun what I see as the beginning elements of this inner process. And throughout the rest of the class, I want to invite you to continue this exploration of slowing down and connecting with each of the elements. So this preliminary exercise is just a way of identifying these beginning elements of this transformative process. And I see that you've begun that. And now, just based on what you said, I want to invite you to pay particular attention to the imagery and the thoughts and the story that you're telling yourself around what's happened, because these hold a powerful, they can hold a powerful energy and hook us in ways that keep us disconnected. But it's important to identify those. So that I just want to start just by responding to that part of it for right now, Louisa. Okay.
The nightmare. Thank you.
Yeah.
Honor the nightmare.
Wrote feedback. I just notice that even calling it a nightmare Can you notice how that's a thought and imagery, and that's part of the evaluation of the mind?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm not saying those things, but to recognize the imagery is that what gets transformed is the powerful pain that's behind this imagery of nightmare. And this requires the capacity to feel the intensity of emotional pain and then mourning. Yeah, great. Thank you. Two more. Thank you, Louisa. Next would be Kath from Canada. You can go ahead, Kath.
Hi, can you hear me? I think yes. Yeah, I've been unmuted by you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Well, part of what I observed is linked with just what happened. I'm already judging myself. I heard the share of Louisa, and I'm putting a story on that my own observation was about myself. So I'm judging myself that I'm so egoistic and not having an observation about social distress or problems, but on my own.
Yeah.
So my observation was I have ADHD. Which can be a story and a label. I'm overwhelmed by the offering of the workshops, and it's so difficult for me to choose. And it's so dearly important for me in VC. So this morning I did one session and then I felt overwhelmed physically and emotionally. So I disconnected and felt so painful, so sadness, tiredness, physically tiredness of telling myself that I'm not worth it, that I should do better, that my sister-in-law is surely assisting to much more than me, and yeah, so on. And I surely have a need for self-acceptance.
Yeah.
And freedom of choice. First of all, from myself, because I'm the one doing all those shackles. I don't need anybody to do that. And yeah, I would.
Yeah, let me, so again, I'm hearing that your sharing is, I'm trying to mute everybody because, so that lessens the distraction. I just have a short response to you. Again, not to diminish the importance of what you're sharing, but what I'm hearing primarily is your own reactive thoughts with regards to you, the kind of self-judgments, and the experience of your experience of overwhelm in the face of the stimulus. And so this process that I'm inviting, and as I'm hesitating because this 2-hour class is just an introduction. There's such a level of depth in self-care to first observe and watch the part of you that's telling yourself these stories, the part of you that's judging. And to be with this part, the invitation is to be with this part with care and not judge her for judging you. And then the beginning part is to listen very closely to these thoughts, to these judgments, to listen to them, because each thought and judgment is an invitation into something very precious, into the pain that's vulnerably existing within those, and into the deep needs that you have. And I know that this work is revealing when I take my time to sit with each of these in a very, it becomes a sacred process of self-care. So I just wanted to just give you that response for right now. And hopefully you will continue the process throughout this class. Okay. So we'll take one more. Michelle. Let's do a mute.
During the beginning stages of lockdown here in Mexico, I witnessed a father and his young son approached me selling the watches that the father had in order to raise funds to feed his family. And I felt overwhelmed because whatever I could contribute would be just a drop in the bucket. I felt afraid that if I did, in fact, support by providing some kind of cash without taking anything from him except gratitude, that I might leave myself vulnerable to being robbed by him or by other people around. And I felt shame for thinking of those thoughts, judgments about my judgments, the Jackal Hall of Mirrors.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate
Thank
hearing
you.
that. So, as I'm hearing you share this experience of what you experienced, what you observed with this father selling watches and what that brought up in you, I'm sensing this in this very strong energy of intensity of how the reactions arise in you, and the overwhelm and the shame and what I heard as self-doubt and the possibility of fear. And I just at this point just simply want to acknowledge that I heard you, and I'm not really wanting to process the whole thing with you. And the invitation, as we follow the rest of this class, it requires, when I do this work, it requires that I slow down and take this pace and breathe and be with the body, because this is the arena of transformation. And a particular thing to notice that has been important for me is to observe that what comes up in my mind, in my consciousness, that is impelling me to do something, to fix it. What if I do this, and what if I don't do that? For me, I find that mechanism disempowering, because it's almost always an attempt to manage and control and to fix something. And the fixing mode for me is rarely, or never actually, if it's in the fixing mode, an empowering mode that comes from my clarity and my strength and my love. It actually comes from fear. So to transform my fear into the actual underlying strength and caring energy that I'm sensing is there within you, this is where I can reclaim my power. So I just wanted to say that for right now. And I want to continue just with some other elements of this work. Some of it might seem repetitive, but sometimes to repeat the nature of this work is, I'm sharing this not so much for you to conceptually understand it, certainly that's part of it, but for you to hold your experiencing in the forefront of your awareness and to sense and to imagine some of the intentionality. So there's an external stimulus. We take this external stimulus within us, and then we experience this internal, when it's distressing, a kind of reactivity that activates this part of the mind that judges ourselves or judges other people, that wants to fix or change or do something in the face of perceived anger or powerlessness. And so this is the place where it's a radical shift and a radical transformation, because it's an invitation for compassion. And this is how I'm defining compassion. It's with regard to what's arising in me. I want to cultivate a state of curious, open, and non-reactive responsiveness in relationship to the events of life. I attend to the interior of my life. That means instead of reacting, I have an opportunity to bear witness to that intensity and the fire of life that's activated. So that means instead of acting, instead of this fire to do something or to become withdrawn, it means I stand before it. This is an inner move. I bear witness. I allow it. Standing before it means I create an inner space to allow whatever those elements in my inner experience. I see it. I open my heart to it in an undefended way, as if it was a hurt child, as if it was a scared part of me, as if it's an angry part of me, a powerless part of me. So the metaphor is that these are parts of my experience that arise in me. And we feel powerless and angry to the extent that we allow the inner imagery to hook us and take our energy and power away from us. So this work is around transforming the power that we give in this getting hooked into finding the true source of our power. So we first find and cultivate our strength in our center with which we engage in life. And the transformative process is around transforming the internal reaction into, through the healing, to find the center of where our strength is. The notion is that whatever we call whatever the human being is, this body, mind, heart, is an instrument of living. It's like that vehicle through which we live. And in order to live my instrument, I think is the way in which it was designed. It means I need to work on this instrument. I need to cultivate it. There's such a tendency to move out into the world and try to act on it before we have first cultivated this instrument with which we engage in life. I'm not suggesting that we don't act. What I'm suggesting is that before we act, even before we speak, can we address those elements in our inner experience that are actually collapsing our energy and our consciousness and transform it? I'm going to identify at least 4 phases of this work, and then I'm going to invite a whole group exercise in this. First is, I start out with an intention. This is the first phase. In my life, particularly when there's triggering experiences, I want to cultivate presence. Presence with respect, inner presence with respect to what's happening in life. And then I want to intend to compassionately embrace, compassionately witness the interior life that's activated in relationship to an exterior stimulus. And then as I approach my interior life, the intention is to approach it with compassion, with curiosity, that my fear and my anger and my powerlessness are not my enemy. They're trying to communicate something very precious to me. And in order for me to hear the hidden message, it requires that I listen with curiosity, open my heart to the judging, fearful, overwhelm, powerlessness, anger elements that are in my interior experience. And the principle that I found is every single time, and sometimes it takes time, is the life energy that's at the very heart of my pain and my reactivity is this precious heart energy of my unfulfilled longing, my unfulfilled needs. This is the precious life energy that we're after. So we don't make the pain go away. We don't make the anger and the powerlessness and the overwhelm. It doesn't go away, it transforms. In a way, the reactive experiences that disempower us are distortions of life energy. And when we can transform it through compassion, we listen to it And then we find the power. And for me, the power that I find within me is almost always the power of love. It's almost always the power of compassion and creativity and care. And this is not something that I just find in my head and I say to myself, well, I have a need for acceptance, or I have a need for everybody to care for everybody else. Might be a doorway into it, but I want to feel it in my body. In relationship to an event that happened in which there may be something that someone was violent in relation to someone else, and there's an event in the United States where this happened with a policeman and a person of color, the person died. I want to first embrace my pain because there's powerful grief in relationship to that. I want to transform the enemy images that come up and the anger that comes up in relationship to the images that I've projected. And the process invites me into, through the pain, through the mourning, to connect with, in my body and in my heart, to feel the energy of the love that exists within me already, to feel it and to embody it. And it's only when I feel this energy do I feel the empowerment that will move me forward. This is the energy I want. So I'm just giving a very brief description of these 4 phases. So I'd like to invite the whole group into a guided exercise with this process. And the first intention is to cultivate presence. So I'll try to guide you into this. And you can have in mind a particular life event that was a stimulus. But regardless of the life event, it's always important that I first cultivate my presence in relationship to life. So first, I ask each person who chooses to participate in this, to again bring attention to your body as you're identifying the external stimulus. Breathe, relax, and stand back from the experience so that you can really notice it. Notice the thinking, the imagery, the story, the judgments. Notice and allow the feelings, the emotional feelings. As you allow them, you actually feel them. Notice the body resonating, the sensations. And the noticing is not thinking about it, but it's bringing your attention and your awareness to it. As you're noticing this, notice an awareness that is surrounding all of your thinking, all of your feeling, all of your sensing. You allow this awareness to be a presence that surrounds all of your experience. This is the first part. This is a practice you may take your time to spend a lot of time with. Okay, as we're noticing what is arising within you, all of the different elements, And notice the individual separate parts again. There's energies of reaction, fear, judgment. Embrace them with love. Embrace those feelings with care. You may approach one aspect or one part of your inner experience, one at a time. This process is like a meditation. It requires being still, focusing, relaxing into your inner experience. If there's a pain, allow yourself to feel the pain. There's a grief, allow yourself to feel the grief. This grief and in mourning is an experience of vulnerability. It requires that we cultivate being soft with our pain, feeling it, allowing perhaps a fragile or tenderness into our heart. And in this pain, if there's grief and mourning, sense the longing inside or beneath the grief. We only grieve or mourn what we deeply care about. My sense there's always something precious at the heart of my grief. Can I allow myself to feel as I connect with what I hold precious? Is it a quality of love that I want to see in the world? Is it a quality that I want everyone needs to matter? How does that live in me? Allow the body to feel it. And as we're doing this, just observe if there's part of the thoughts, the thinking mechanism, evaluating this process. This is something to observe. And notice, are you feeling in the quality of care and energy of whether it's love, care, everyone's needs mattering? What does that feel like in your body? Surrender to it, relax even deeper into this feeling. And then now, from this energy, can you sense moving this energy out into life? Imagine, envision, sense. What would it be like to communicate this energy in life? Can you sense acting from this energy? Acting from the feeling of love and compassion and caring, moving from your inner strength. And notice if you're not able to do this, just notice that. There's no right or wrong in this invitation. This is an exploration. Okay. So staying with this energy as much as you can, knowing that this invitation is a short exercise into this territory of this inner process. Okay. So just from this exercise so far, I'd like to invite just a couple of people to share your experience of this exercise, and we'll track it. See if you like to raise your hand. If you'd like to raise your hand, I can track that. I see two people already. One is Joachim. See if you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can begin.
Thank you. I actually had my hand up from last time, so I wasn't really prepared. But I've been going in and out with following you as guided meditation style, and noting particular things you said, how you worded things, and jotting them down for me. Yeah. So allowing myself in a way to be relaxing into this exercise to the point where I'm not quite sure what I got out of it. And kind of just resting in that.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Yeah. Again, a reminder is that it's a bit challenging to invite this kind of a process in an exercise in this format. So I'm just seeing it as just a possibility and asking to begin this exploration as a possibility, and invite everyone to continue this if you choose to. Okay, I have lots of hands up, but I want to limit it to well, let's see how this goes. So the next hand I see is Peter.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Peter.
Yes. You know, I got an experience that I think I never saw it like this before. And I want just to do a reality check with you if this is what you intend to point out. That sometimes when I'm giving empathy to me or to another person, I'm trying to connect to the person and be connected. And what I saw is that you're looking at what the life energy is doing into that person. Like if you will be witnessing a movie and you will be seeing what is the life force doing in that person. And like looking, you're connected, but you're looking at it. And this like really opened a whole new dimension of this work for me, because I have been like using my energy to be in the heart with the other and keeping the energy on me and forcing it. But now if I just need to witness and be connected to how this life force is trying to, you know, come alive through the negative images and all of that, it's changed my reality. Is that what you're trying to teach us or not?
Thrilled at what you're saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. So, so that's I love hearing your experience. Wow. So it's that witnessing. What I could experience it as, what is witnessing is my consciousness. It's a consciousness presence that is not my personal reality. That's what witnesses and beholds. And this is where the intelligence of the heart resides. I can't force it, otherwise it doesn't connect. So I'm thrilled to hear you have that,
Wow,
this possibility.
beautiful. Thank you. I will always remember you for that. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe one or two more. I'm so torn because I see so many hands. I'd love to connect, but there's. Let's try Hadas. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And go.
Yes, you are. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. So first I realized I feel fear every day and multiple times a day, and there's a lot to unpack there. So I chose one thing, which is something that was portrayed in the media, and I felt fear because what it would cause, and then I had thoughts about the media, kind of pushing me into that place of fear, and maybe I have to fight. I don't know. And then I started digging into that, and at the end of what I want, I realized I want peace and truth.
Yeah.
And once again, it was like a loop that I ended up. I don't remember exactly how you asked the question about how does it feel in my body, and then I felt hopeless after realizing I wanted peace and truth, because then I found another belief or thought that I don't believe I have power, and then I can do all the work again, and it feels like I will have to do it a lot of times to get somewhere. That's how it got to me.
Yeah, I understand that this is a process that takes time. And I noticed that when you shared your experience of fear in relationship to something that happened, the fear continues to draw me into the external life, and it feeds the fear. So I'm in the cycle. And when that happens, I'm not able to actually meet the fear itself. It's always connected to fear as a reaction. And so this work is a radical departure from that, what I experience as a conditioned way of responding to life, reacting to life. So the invitation is to first connect with your internal experience of fear and let yourself feel the energy of it. Just that, without relating it to an external event. Feel the energy of the fear, feel it in the body. Give it room. Not letting your mind jump to something too quickly. Just feel the energy of the fear in the body. Breathe. And with fear, I find there's almost always a thought that creates the fear. There's always a story inside of the fear. I want to recognize that story as a story and not as an observable fact. Fear always tells me, well, what if? It always tells me I can't do anything about it. What if something bad happens? So I want to listen to the story as a story and not the observation. When I start doing that, I realize that I am self-responsibly acknowledging my own story. And then I allow myself to go deeper into the energy behind the fear. So I'm just describing the possibility of moving forward within the energy of your fear and unhook it from the external events. So that's just the beginning of what I would say. Okay. I think what I would like to do, I noticed a lot of hands up, and I would like you to all have an opportunity to practice in small groups. When you get into the breakout room, if you choose to go there, you'll have access to the chat so you can see it. I'd like you to choose 2 people to do the process. The other people will witness. And what I'm thinking is be 2 roles. For 15 minutes, you can choose one person will actually go through the process step by step, as the other person holds an empathic presence with them. And then for 15 minutes, you do the process. Keep your own time, and then you switch roles. And the person who was holding the empathic presence can then do the active part of the process, while the other person who was doing the process before will engage in the empathic presence. So that'll be 30 minutes all together and give you an extra 5 minutes in the breakout room. And so that's the idea that I have about moving forward. Then we'll come back into the class, and then I'll invite any sharing or question and answers. Just wanted a little bit more opportunity for people to practice.
Okay, hello everybody. This is the end of the recording. So before going to the breakout rooms, we wanted to give everyone a 3-minute break, bio break. And we will be back in 3 minutes from now. Mary, would you like to say something before people are taking the break?
Just a reminder for everyone to put in 2 dashes in front of their name to rename themselves on Zoom if you do not want to take part in the breakout rooms.
I don't need to say anything, Goni, except to ask that you put me in a little breakout room with you and me and possibly Jeff and Raheli.
Okay, thank you. See you here in 3 minutes.
I meant during the break, if possible.
I'm not sure actually if Shachar can do that because he's preparing the other rooms, but maybe he can.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like when in 3 minutes, not now. I cannot start it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I have like 5 minutes? I will be back immediately for the breakout room, but I need to go a little bit further than 3 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I think we will start in around 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm not sure I've understood properly. We put a dash in front of our name, our first name, if we want to be doing the exercise?
If you do not want to take part of the exercise, you put the dash. If you do, you just leave your name as it is. So you don't put any line or dash. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. How long?
Yes.
I don't remember the list of how long this section will take because I have made a commitment to another class at 9.
Yeah.
So how long are we going to be in these breakout groups?
The breakout rooms are 25 minutes.
Okay, I just have that. I have that amount of time then.
28 minutes.
28, sorry.
Would you be willing to put some very clear instructions in the chat for the breakout rooms? I'm not clear after the video still what we're going to be doing. Thank you.
Yeah, I would try to.
Yes, we have someone working on that.
Thank you very much.
Do we have to mention the event or we go right away inside to see what whatever happened, I feel like this, without having to tell the story to the others?
The question is not clear for me. What is the question again?
Okay, when let's say I'm the talker, I'm the active one, I'm going to talk. Do I have to tell them what is the situation or not? And I just go right away emphasizing how I feel about something that happened, but they don't know about, they're not aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I understand your question, and I think we will maybe maybe wait with the answer for when we gather. So if, everyone, maybe other people needs clarifications, maybe everyone can hear.
Okay, thank you.
And Shacha, I would also like to ask you to have the chat active again.
Just to let you know, I'm needing a bit more time to sort out 400 people into breakout rooms, so it will be another couple of minutes.
So most of us are back, I think.
There's a lot of last minute changes of people deciding to go in or not go in, so I'm still on it. Anyway, sorry, guys, couple more minutes.
Yeah, so it's actually good, Shacha. We will have the time for Mary to give a short explanation if anyone needs a reminder or was not here or has questions around what we are doing in the breakout rooms.
Thank you, Goni. So we're suggesting that you in your breakouts go through the process that Robert led people through in the recording. So I'm just going to outline that pretty briefly. He offered a lot more detail than I'm going to right now, but I'm going to outline it in a few steps. So when you go into your breakout, you pick two people, one person to do the work, the process, one person to be the empath. And everybody else is witnessing, silent witness. So the person who's doing the work thinks about a situation in their life that has some sort of stimulus for them, frustration or hurt or something that they're angry about or fearful about. And they start to bring attention to that. They start to notice what's happening in their body. What are the judgments that come up for them? It's almost like they're standing back and looking at the situation, looking at what goes on in them around that situation. This is a time to allow the feelings, not to try to push them away, but to allow them. And the second person is the empath, is holding empathic presence during this. The second step is notice and awareness that's surrounding all that thinking and presence. A bigger awareness, like Robert calls it life, the life, or love, that kind of an awareness, or the one, or God, or whatever you might call that. Notice that awareness. Notice if it starts to come in for you. And now start to notice what's arising from the different energies that might look like judgment or fear. And allow yourself to embrace those additional energies that come in now. And the fourth step is to approach each of those energies one at a time. So for instance, look at fear. Notice all you can about the fear that comes in. And allow yourself to feel all of it as much as you can. So you're not just noticing the feelings, you are actually allowing yourself to dip into the feelings. And it's a conscious choice not to try to push them away, but to allow them. And you could ask yourself this question: are you feeling that energy of love while focusing on your fear, for instance? Are you allowing that love while focusing on your fear? And then the final step is to ask yourself, what would it be like if I was approaching this situation from that energy of love? What would that be like? If I approach this situation from that energy of love. And remembering, just a reminder that the second person is holding an empathic presence, and everyone else in the group is holding silent witnessing. In Robert's process, he allowed 15 minutes. We're allowing 10 per person. 10 minutes per person and an extra 5 minutes to sort of process it. Once one person is done with their full 10 minutes, then the empath then takes the role of the person who is the one who's looking at a situation. And the person who did the initial work becomes the empath. And that person gets an additional 10 minutes to complete the process. So that is what you will be doing. I'm wondering, Shahar, are we ready?
Yeah, almost done. 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. So
Mary, are you open to answer 2 questions that people are asking before the breakout?
Sure. Are they in the chat?
Yeah, I can read one to you. What is the difference between empathic space and witnessing?
I think, well, I would love it if the witnesses were also holding empathic space. I mean, that's the first answer. I would love that if you would do that. The empath is specifically there to hold empathic space. So there might not be that much difference, actually.
And another question, does the person doing the process verbalize? Is the empath silently holding space with no words? This is another question.
Yes, the person doing the work for sure is vocalizing. They're talking about their process. And I would say the empath is mostly holding silent empathy. I think occasionally, if you believe that you offering empathy to the person doing the work would help them into greater connect, then I would say something, but really only then.
Mary?
Yes.
There are people asking for us to put the 4 steps in the chat. I'm just wondering if you would be willing to put them in a few words, or we can work on that together.
Mary, do you mind if I respond to that?
Sure. No, I don't mind.
So we regret, we did not think to have written instructions, so we don't have them. And actually at this point, I would suggest not putting them in the chat, because in my experience, sometimes following too closely for instructions can interfere with the presence that we're trying to bring. So for myself, I would just invite you to take whatever you could from Mary's instructions or Robert, bring them in you, and just show up and be present. Show up with empathy, show up with listening, and receive and be present. And not worry about doing it right or following all the steps. That's my invitation. And we don't have it to put in the chat anyways, I don't think, Mary, so.
We do have it to put in the chat, Jeff.
Oh, we do?
Knowing that we have it because Raheli has been taking notes, do you still feel strongly about doing it your way? Are you okay if Raheli pops it in the?
I'm totally okay if she pops it in, just with the additional invitation. Please don't allow yourself to get hung up on the steps or doing it right. Yeah.
Okay. And Raheli, thank you so much for taking notes.
So Nicole, you just want to ask something before we leave, or because I see you raise your hand and then you lower it. So
since you're gonna put the instruction on the chat, then because I went to washroom and you, Mary started talking, and the number one probably is the question I asked before I left, which was, do we tell the story or not of what happened, the situation or not? So I'm waiting for the number one. That's why I took away my hand. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, we are ready.
All right, everybody, enjoy the process.
20 more minutes, so they're coming back slowly.
Hi, everybody. We're still waiting for the rest of the group to come in, so we'll get started in just a moment. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're just waiting another moment or two until everybody is able to join us. Oh, I think we're all here, actually. Nope. Okay, let's get started. Welcome back. So we'd like to hear from some of you in the big group now, and you're welcome to respond in the chat if you would like to, and you're also welcome to raise your hand and we'll call on you. Specifically what I'm asking you to talk about. So because this event is about honoring Robert, we're not actually asking you questions to go deeper into your process as Robert would. What I'm really asking of you is, what was it like for you to be in that process? Or what came up for you in that process as a way of honoring Robert and his work? And so I'd love it if you would raise your hand if you'd like to be called on. I'm certain we won't have time to answer everybody's questions. And I'm going to start with my friend Liv Monroe, and then we'll go to O and then Marinelle. Liv, nice to see you. You're muted, Liv, just so you know.
The amazing thing about our two sessions that we did there was how different they were. Both of our empaths spoke. They weren't just totally silent. And there were very different paths that were taken. And it was very fun to see Robert's lessons being individualized, because I think that's what part of it.
Thank you, Liv. Nice to hear from you. And I like what you demonstrated too, and I forgot to say so. I would ask that you try to keep this as brief as possible so that we can hear from as many people as possible. So O, and then Marinelle, and then Paul.
Yes, I experienced that as a very sacred, holy, precious, profound gift. The depth of intimacy, I think a part of the slowness is what allowed for the intimacy. And I was humbled. And what was amazing, I wasn't going to go. I was going to put those dots and dashes in front of my name. I wasn't going to go. And Spirit said, no, go. And I'm grateful that I did.
Oh, thank you. Oh. Marinelle, and then Paul, and then Gail.
Yeah, I found it also very beautiful, and what I'd like to share is this sense of the journey we can make from the pain that arises to the beautiful need behind it, to the longing for everyone on earth to have that need fulfilled. And this connection basically from our own trauma to a universal love of humanity, which I felt it, and the other one who was processing also, and yeah, that's so touching for me, that our own pain becomes a gateway to loving everyone.
Thank you so much. I'm just wanting to acknowledge again my appreciation that so far every one of the speakers has kept it brief, so we're able to talk with more people. Paul, Gail, and then Chibraya. Paul, go ahead.
Paul, unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. I appreciated connecting with Robert again. I've trained with him, and I appreciated being able to go through the process and learn once again that you can't make this happen. If you stay with the feelings and behind the heart and go into the heart and really stay there, in my case, it just dawned on me. I didn't make it happen. The fact that I would have compassion for somebody, a relative that I was injured by, and I could let go of that. That was one thing. And the other thing was that how we could so easily, when Regina was speaking, in only 7 minutes or more, however she spoke, the way she went in and exposed the hot kitchen inside, as she put it, how you can know somebody so quickly in this process and otherwise know somebody else for years and not really see in their inner life. And yet with NBC, you can see the inner life so quickly, and it makes connection. So, what do you say? So possible, so available, so needed or wanted, and yet we don't have it in the world in general. But with NBC, we have it almost immediately. So it's such a learning laboratory. I love it.
Thank you, Paul. Gail, and I don't see Shabraya's hand up anymore, so I'll call on Georgia. And then Philippa, I'll check with you and see if there's anything in the chat.
In being an empathic witness, I really connected again with Robert's teachings around the amount of contribution and grace that just accompanying someone, not trying to fix it, but just holding space and letting them go or not go where their life force is leading them in that moment. And that felt so connecting and like such a privilege. So I just really appreciated stepping back today into Robert's learning and being able to be with it in real time. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Hi, Georgia.
Hello, Mary. So
I'd like to say first that I personally never met Robert, but I was made aware of his wonderful work through Miranel. I'm very grateful for that. And in this session, I could see what was beautiful was to see the connection of human beings together and this need to care for one another. That touched me very much in our exercise. And also the gift of pain. That's something that came up in some way, that if we're able to acknowledge it through a physical feeling or our thoughts, or even just an observation in some way of some pain, then I feel it's in some way showing us that we want to live, we want to be alive, we want to cherish those things. So yeah, the gift of pain, that's what came up. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgia. The gift of pain, I love that. Philippa, anything in the chat you'd like to share?
Nothing specific for you, Mary, but just more celebrations, gratitude, expressions from the heart together. So beautiful community expressions being shared.
Oh, thank you, Philippa. Okay, let's hear from two more and then we will move on to the next section. Let's hear from Sonia and then Moshi.
Hello.
Hello, Sonia.
Hi. I just started typing in the chat. Just want to acknowledge this gift from Robert today of seeing the story as a story and not just make it a clinical observation, because I noticed that when I see the story as story, I'm able to accept and honor myself as life and not as something that should be or ought to be. And it allowed me to have more acceptance of another person and also a greater self-connection. So I'm really, really grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you for speaking up. Moshi?
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm a student not only of NVC, but also of the journey with Brandon Brace. Sorry, what's her name? I remember. Anyway, what I found with what Robert brought is that it really brings both things, these things that I'm learning together with very delicate appreciation of the different feelings, of bringing them apart and bringing more awareness to the different feelings and emotions, and then on top of that, something which embraces all of that. I found that very much in line with the journey work of learning our own emotions, and I like that bringing things together from different walks of life. Thank you very much.
Thank you for speaking up. Just looking at the time. Okay, I am going to move on, and Goni, it looks like it goes back to you to introduce this next video.
Yeah. So thank you everyone who shared, and I'm sorry that we don't have the time to hear everyone, but I want to say that later on we will have some extra time after this next part that maybe you could share then. We're going to screen now Robert answering questions from participants who have been doing the exact same exercise as most of you did, and they came back to the main room as you did now, and they asked Robert some questions, and we will hear them and we will hear the answers. I want to say that for those of you who wanted to have something written, this is also an opportunity for you to write things down, because Robert is answering questions there and is how to say, making things more fine with his previous instructions. So this is an opportunity. If you have a pen and paper or on your computer, it's an opportunity to take notes. But Jean-Paul, I see you have like a question, or no, it's still from before. Okay. So Henner, are we ready for the next part?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna start the screening now.
Is everybody back? I think. Okay, are we ready to resume? Great, you can hear me, everything's well. Okay, I'm hoping that the breakout room exercise was useful to you. I hope it was valuable. And for the rest of the class, I'd like to just open it up to learning in terms of sharing what your experience was. I'm eager to hear your experience in the breakout room or have any questions that you have from that practice. So I'll try to track the hands that are raised. I see there's 3 already. Start with, let me see, first it was Laura. 15105 is a number. So if you can unmute yourself.
Sorry, I have a question. When we go through the process, when we get to the part where it says, do you have a request? Make of yourself. Is there supposed to be at the end of the process a feeling of compassion for the person that was in the stimulus of the event? Are we looking toward being able to do that, or is it mainly just getting in touch with ourselves before we can do that?
Well, it could be both.
Mm-hmm.
That's in your instance that I'm guessing you felt some compassion in relationship to the person that was a stimulus. So when you are connected to that consciousness, to that experience, allow that energy to move forward and rather than from your head, ask if there's a request. What is that energy? What does the compassion want? Would be one way.
Mm-hmm.
And just to listen to that, to feel and sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something that the energy of compassion wants in moving forward? Okay, we'll go next with Erin Osmat.
Hi, thank you. One thing that came up for me, it was a wonderful practice, was just the going between the inner and the outer and feeling really pulled into thoughts and wanting to really understand what that experience would look like to be able to hold both in balance, and not sure if I'll know what that will look like or how to even get there. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
I found this a really valuable practice, and as most of these kinds of practices are, it is a challenge to stay with the inner experience and the outer, and then to fluctuate, go to the outer and then go to the inner. And just do that back and forth as a practice, and just allow yourself to learn from it. But it's something that I find requires a repetition.
So yeah, thank you. Hearing the sustained practice might get it to fall in place eventually. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next we'll go to Miriam.
Hi.
Yeah.
I was muted. So I realized when I did the practice, and when I do it sometimes, the sensations and the feelings, they kind of dissolve as soon as I zoom out and look at them. And it's like they become pretty light and cloudy, and I can't really catch them anymore. And I want to sit with them, but it becomes more difficult. So I was wondering if that is normal.
Well, actually, I don't know what anything's normal these days, but when you do this practice and you approach just observing those parts of you, the sensations, and they seem to disappear, that to then focus again on the outer stimulus and connect to the outer stimulus and stay with that experience without distancing yourself, without observing too much. Stay with the experience of the outer stimulus and just be with the immediacy of the experience. That makes sense in terms of what you were sharing.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at it as maybe a dissociative experience. It is actually quite relieving. So when I zoom out, it just becomes much lighter. So yeah, but I will think I will observe that a bit more.
Yeah, but even as you're saying that, I'm curious of what that exploration would be when you say zoom out, just to notice what you're doing with your awareness. Just to observe and stay with that practice a bit. And I mean, for me, this practice, everything is okay. It's okay if there's no judgment. If something, for me, it's I learn from observing it. So just, yeah.
Thank you very much.
You mentioned in the beginning of this session how we get hooked by stimulus. And my takeaway from this entire 2 hours is this. I seem to want to stay hooked, especially in my judgments. I live in the United States. We have daily barrage of lots of news that can keep me hooked and that can feed my judgments and prove that I'm right, which gets me deeper into my judgments. So I'm like stuck in the mud. It's almost like I want to hang out there because it's comfortable or something. And so that's my takeaway. It's like, okay, like I need to take the first baby step to get out of the mud.
So I appreciate your sharing that. I don't think it's an uncommon experience. I find myself what I call being seduced by being right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's a pseudo pleasure. It's not ultimately fulfilling in my experience. But here's the principle that I found interesting. It's not somehow that it's wrong to judge, but that all judgments are an invitation into something deeper. My judgments, it says I'm right, is a signal that something matters to me here. There's a deep value. And when I transform the energy of being right or the other person being wrong into the deeper needs and values, I feel that, and it completely changes my experience. So that right-wrong thing, however seductive it is, I find, it's a doorway. Can I walk through that doorway? Or am I staying in that what seems to be pleasurable, the idea of being right? So
yeah, thank you for that, because it's sapping my energy.
Oh yeah, yeah, I get that.
Sapping my energy. Thank you, appreciate it.
Welcome. The next person is Damien from Ecuador. So next we would go to, let me see, Jean-Baptiste.
Basically, this inner and outer is, well, I don't really know how you do it. Well, I understand a bit, but it's not completely clear. Could you maybe?
Well, number one, my recommendation is to engage in the practice again. Do it again, hopefully with someone witnessing you. But and the inner and outer is most what emerges when it's full has to do with what happens before that. If you're able actually in the previous part of the exercise to transform the judgments and the reactive fear or anger into the actual energy of the need as you were feeling it, it's love, and you dwell in that, and dwelling in that energy, then you bring your attention to the external stimulus. So just don't do it too fast, and just notice the external stimulus while you are maintaining the inner quality of love. And then you come back slowly into the internal energy, the quality of the need. And then slowly bring your attention out into the external stimulus again. Not pushing, but just lightly. And then slowly come back. And you can find your own rhythm.
Yeah.
So that would be what I would recommend.
Yeah, I actually am doing it while you say, and now it's really, really moving and touching. Okay. Thank you
Wonderful.
very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Jean-Baptiste. I think we only have time for one more. Muriel from France.
I would like to know whether I can do it alone or would it be better to do it with somebody, and who shall be that person?
You can do it alone, and I find it valuable to have someone present. Now, who that is, I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. I would find someone, I would move to find someone who you trust, someone who have some sense of their capacity to be with you and to offer just presence and empathic support. Whoever that is that you choose, I don't know if you have a practice group or other people in your community who do similar kind of work, someone who's willing to, and someone who perhaps you might be willing to share the practice so that you could offer the same kind of support back and forth.
Yes, I'm very surprised that a complete stranger, like the lady I had with me, could help. That's the point for me. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I find this over and over again. People that don't necessarily know each other very well can really offer a lot of very valuable support. So I'm noticing the time. I wasn't able to get to everyone's hand, so I'm regretful about that, but I do want to honor the time, and I want to express my appreciation to all of you who hung in there and did this practice. And given what I experienced as this challenging format, to get the value from so many people and in a 2-hour amount of time. And so I'm grateful that you were willing to stay here to practice, to be present. So thank you all, and thank you for the support from the Global NVC online people, the support, Julia, David, thank you for being present. So thank you, everybody, and I wish you well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
So this is the end of the question answered by Robert. Thank you, everyone, for staying with us until here. Before moving to our next part, which we called More Memories and Gratitude, I want to make another reminder about the fundraising campaign that is aiming to cover the bills, the medical bills for Robert's treatment. We've seen already, we visited the page and we've seen already around $2,000 were raised through this session. So I just want to thank everyone who already donated, and maybe ask Henner or Shacha to put again in the chat the fundraising link or Racheli. Yeah, so you could see it again. And we move on to the next part. Mary, I hand the mic to you again.
I think Mary's going to hand it to me if that's all right with you,
okay.
Mary.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is Jeff again. Hi, everybody. We want to, in a few minutes, have another opportunity to hear from all of you, kind of in a broader context, not only how was that teaching for you to experience, but just more broadly, any impact Robert had on you, any mourning or celebration. But first, we'd like to have you hear the words of Robert's life partner and wife, Ruth Joy. Ruth is not going to read them herself because she's still very much in the grieving process. But Simone Anliker is going to read those words. So again, this is Ruth Joy. Simone, are you ready to read that now?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, these are Ruth's words, and I'm just reading them out. It was Robert's deep love for supporting others in their healing and awakening that motivated him. He was the transformation he saw in his students that inspired him. He loved his work and what he shared and taught. He loved those that he shared this with. His community and those he worked with filled his heart and life with joy, meaning, and purpose. We would speak daily, and he would often share with me how full and inspired he felt by how the day and teachings were received by the group. When working from home, he would come and see me after holding his online class, and he would be glowing. He was so full of love and gratitude. Even as his health declined, he focused on what he could do to contribute to others, how his work would continue and be shared with even more people. He knew what he brought to the world had value and could transform lives. He was grateful for this role, for his purpose. His life was committed to bring this to all who sought it. He lived fully. He lived with passion, purpose, and commitment. He lived with deep compassion and love for all beings. I know the world is better because of Robert. He is missed. These are the words by Ruth, Robert's wife and life partner.
Thank you, Simone. Why don't we take about 30 seconds of silence just to allow that to sink in and for us to all get present with ourselves. So 30 seconds. All right, thank you all for that. I'd like to open the space now and invite more sharing. So the sharing we had a little while ago that Mary held was really more about what was your experience in the breakout group and Robert's teachings. And now we'd like to expand that and just open the floor really for anything you'd like to share. For instance, the impact Robert had on you. You know, has he had an impact on his teachings? Any mourning or grief or celebration that you're feeling right now in relationship to Robert's death and his passing? Or really anything else that you'd like to share and be known about. So it's kind of wide open. Like Mary suggested, you know, briefer is better. so we can hear from more people. But we'll spend about 15 minutes or so and I will hold this part. So if you'd like to speak, raise your hand electronically, which you can do under the reactions button. And we'll hear from a few people. Okay, let's begin with Volkmar, and after that we'll hear from Nicole. Go ahead, Volkmar.
Well, actually, Robert's work is the reason why I stayed in contact, or why I stayed in NBC, because I was close to drop out because, well, nothing is really changing. And then when I learned his transforming practice first through recordings, that helped me to stay in it. So, and that's my focus on my work, to pass that on, because it was so valuable for me. My grieving is that I've never had a chance to to heal a conflict we had. But it's never too late, even now. That's me. Thanks.
Thank you, Volkmar. Very touched by that. Thank you. Let's hear next from Nicole, and after that will be Ellen. Nicole?
Hello from Quebec. I'm happy. In fact, before getting the email, I didn't even know about Robert. So I got to learn new. And still, I feel gratitude for all his teaching. And in fact, for all the trainers and trainees, everybody that is taking practices is doing something to be better, better living, a better relationship with everyone in their lives. That is very important to me. So I'd like to thank everybody to do actions, to not only have an intention, but to do something about it and be more conscious and more, or I would say non-violent. I don't like to use that expression, in fact. I'd like to see more conscious. Thank you very much to all, and I hope you all continue after the COVID. But in fact, I would like if we could continue online, because I cannot be in a group anymore with the COVID. So I would enjoy if somebody organizes the practices online. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. It's nice to know how you were touched by this. And there's a group of people working on offering ongoing opportunities based on Robert's work. So we'll be sure you find out about that. Next, let's hear from Ellen. After that would be Jesse and Catherine. Go ahead, Ellen.
I was lucky enough. I never worked with Robert. But I have had enough of a background with NBC through someone I trust and value as a teacher. And I was immediately struck by his presence, even on Zoom. And so I was a little worried about the breakout rooms and trying to practice, because I don't practice in front of other people usually. And I just am really glad that I had some background and didn't feel as overwhelmed as I would have without the vocabulary and the practice of sensing and observing. So I just thank everyone for the process and everybody's involvement in it. Excellent. And I'm sad that I won't be able to work with him personally.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Ellen. Thanks for sharing that. Glad you were here. Let's go next to Jesse and Catherine, and then after that will be Laura.
Everyone, thank you, Jeff, Mary, NBC Rising, all you folks who can put this together. It's really sweet to be in this space with you. I felt a bit speechless before. I still feel a bit speechless, but I'll try to find some words to share. Just I reflected a lot on a moment that I shared on a memorial shortly after his passing with the Japanese community, about how Robert, in many ways, helped heal a lot for me around my relationship with my father. And I've said different aspects of that in other venues, but what I want to say here that I've been thinking about is that I think part of the reason that that was able to happen was because of Robert's his commitment and intention and practice of compassionate presence that allowed him to open to possibilities in a connection that were not necessarily obvious on the surface and might have been more energetic or spiritual or other layers. And I don't know that I spoke so much about certain aspects of my relationship with my father in the life group where my journey with Robert began, but he tapped into it because of his presence and his care and compassion, and I think because of that, it opened up those other layers for myself that even I wasn't able to access or wasn't even aware of until many years later, even as the healing continued to unfold. So, and then the last thing I'll say about that is just that I think many of you know that I spent many years practicing in a Zen Buddhist tradition. And that was one thing that Robert shared with my Zen teachers, is that being able to sit together in compassionate presence opened up things that might not otherwise have been so obvious. Yeah, I'll just say that I'm very grateful. It's very special to be with someone like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your personal experience of how Robert contributed to healing. I think you said with your father. Thank you. Okay, next we'll go to Laura. After that will be Hope. Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, I was part of that cohort, the last US life group before when COVID hit. And so we went from in-person to online. And then from that to the last online program. And I just feel like COVID for me has been this meditation on Robert's teaching, because the continuity has been there. And I'd have to say the number one thing that has probably come to fruition is that ability that I have really not, that ability to show up with compassionate presence and no fix-it energy and know something, I got to fix something about me, kind of sneaky way to judge myself. And so I wanted to share one moment that I think it was last April or March when we had our online session. It was right before I had to go to a family gathering that was challenging for me. And Robert, who does, in my experience, I might be wrong, but in my experience, he didn't go into a lot of personal examples about his thing. But that particular day, he was talking about the energy of showing up for whatever arises and the beauty of the needs. And he spoke about, he said, even in the pain I'm experiencing. And it was like, there was just like, wow, he's not just teaching this, he is living it. And I was so moved by it, and either because of it stirred into and allowed me to connect with that energy within myself, or I was picking up on it. I don't know. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But I shared it with my practice partner later on that week. Like, that was something that really stirred, like the energy of really showing up for the beauty of those needs and living in that energy. And it was a week or so later, I was on this trip in this family gathering that was challenging for me, and I was doing as much self-compassion as I could, and I was doing it. My mind switched to that event, and my heart split. And I was in that energy of holding space for that need, and in that ability to hold space for myself that I so value from having spent time in groups like this and with Robert's teaching. So That's super meaningful for me to think about and share.
Thank you, Laura. Enjoyed hearing that. Something you said at the beginning of your sharing, I think this is maybe what you were pointing to, is there can be this sneaky thing about like, I need to be healed. There's something wrong with me. I have to fix something that's wrong with me. And that's something I always remember Robert emphasizing, is there's nothing that needs to be fixed. Yeah, and that like liberated me. So that's what I thought of when you said that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, next we'll go to Hope, and then after that will be Marianne. Hope, you're up next.
Thank you, Jeff, and thank you to all the people that organized this event. I had the deep privilege of not only meeting Robert at an IIT in Whistler, BC, where I met several of the people who are here on this call, but Robert was assigned to our little home group. There were about 5 or 6 of us, and in a small little, meeting room. And I had just made it through a really traumatic event in my life, escaping from a massive wildfire. And Robert was there, and he just held me with his presence in such a way, and such a way of caring and being and witnessing and just being with. And it's not lost on me that I'm in the middle of another life traumatic event. And here's Robert again teaching me and doing it with all of you who are seekers and care about each other. And so the beauty of needs, Robert and his work, and all of you, I'm so grateful for all of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hope. It sounds like that was just the perfect thing for you to receive after that wildfire. Just this presence. And I'm just hearing your gratitude for it. Somehow it was transformative in itself.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we have time to hear from a few more people. As I said, next would be Marianne, and after that will be Mare. So please, Marianne.
I can, feel with his work how powerful it is to have somebody with the presence to tolerate, your pain. And I guess in this event, I wonder who would do that for Robert. And in the celebration of life, there was this gentleman, as I understood it, who was essentially like Robert's practice partner. And I have to say, I feel so grateful for that person, and how Robert really supported that we all find that, this community. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Marianne, I attended that memorial as well, and I was so moved by that 45-year relationship that Robert had with this person, and the love and the support they had for each other. And I was just, I just blew my mind. So I too am really celebrating that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, next will be Mare, and after that will be Nushan. So Mare, you're up next.
Thank you, Jeff and Mary and everyone that helped put this on. As I listened to people talking about Robert's presence and what he offered to people, I remembered the moment when I can't remember the name of the 4 people, but there was an event that we were at, and Robert was in the front of the room doing what he does, being present as he is, and suddenly someone in the group began to exhibit in a way I don't remember. but I remember I felt alarmed, really alarmed and concerned. And before I could say or do anything, I realized that Marshall, I keep saying Marshall, Robert was out of his chair and through the room and lying on the ground next to this person's face. Oh, the person was on the ground for some reason. Next to this person's face to face with him. And I have thought of that action that Robert took in that moment for the last decades, how impactful that was for me. He was not sitting in the front of the room saying, you know, follow my practice. He was with each of us. And when this person needed it, he was right there. And there's more to the story, but that basically was what I have held in my heart as a inspiration and a marker that we can live how we want to live, that we can be the person we want to be. And it doesn't take any, as Robert would say, training or fixing. We can just be it. And then that impulse of life energy moves us. And I hold that as a real demonstration and inspiration for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mare. That example just encapsulates, it sounds like for you, it encapsulates as an example of who he was and his impact on you. I really enjoyed hearing that. Thank you. Before we hear from Nushin, I just want to remind everyone to please mute yourself unless you're speaking. Just makes the flow a little bit easier from person to person. So Nushin, after that will be Yasha Sweeney.
Thank you, Jeff. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, very good. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And saying hi to everyone and to Mary and to all of you. And just great gratitude for putting this together. You know, it's supporting us to just put a little closure to, you know, to what happened. And just as sad as it is that his presence is not with us among the community anymore. He was a big teacher, and he touched our lives, you know, in so many different ways, and has a tender place in our hearts. Just wanted to acknowledge that. And I had the privilege to just be in one of his classes through NVC Academy, for the support of NVC Academy, and I was just was really touched by the tone of his voice. There was just some kind of a strength about his voice that you just hear his voice and be comforted, you know, and you just felt like when he's talking, you know, it's the truth, you know, you just really believe that. And there is some sort of reassurance in his voice. And the thing that I always remember, it's just, it has just made a mark, you know, in my heart, that his phrase about bask in the energy of the need, basking in the energy of the need. And then just it's always in my mind, and always remember that. And thinking about this need as beauty, and also as the energy. And he would just say that let the energy just move you, let the energy just move you. And I think it really does, and it has made a huge impact in my life and in my relationships. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Nushin. I really enjoyed hearing the impact and the way you described it. Thank you. Okay, I'm thinking we'll hear from about 3 more people or so. We may not get to everybody, but let's start with Yasha Sweeney and then go to Rosa. Is that how you pronounce your name, Yasha Sweeney?
Yes.
Okay, hi.
Hi. So I met Robert at the IIT in India back in this Feb 2020. And the first session that I ever attended of him on day one. And I think I did not end up attending any other session throughout the IIT. The kind of impact he had, I got closure to a morning of a relationship that I could not close for over 12 years in one of his sessions. And so I have goosebumps right now also while I'm talking about it. But today when we were watching the video and there was the exercise that we had to practice in breakout rooms, and then we got back. And then you showed the part where Robert was answering questions, and then he ended with saying goodbye. And then I just could not help but think of oh, I'm not going to see him again, or, you know, I am just all over the place, but I just want to let everyone know that he really made a lot of difference to my life. I would be blown away each time I would attend his sessions or talk to him. There was a small group of like 5-6 people who, you know, after the IIT got together to create a WhatsApp group called Robert's Fan Club, where we would meet once a week just to practice one of his exercises that he had taught in the sessions. And yeah, I would never find anybody like him. And I really, really treasure every moment I've had with him.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll hear from Rosa. So go ahead, Rosa.
Hi, thank you for this opportunity. My heart is beating very strongly because of how much this man has impacted my life. I began working with him 18 years ago at an IIT with him and Marshall, and I chose him over Marshall and all the other trainers continually. He sat with me alone to show me how to get to the beauty of the needs in a situation, even the most challenging situations. And it started from there. And I feel like I struggled with MVC for years because I was thinking of it. You know, it was what need is that, identifying it, but he took it to this spiritual level for me that encompassed mind, body, psyche, not just an intellectual practice. I'm privileged to say I worked with him so many times, and I have so many quotes. So many times I hear him in my head. So much modeling of the consciousness and being love, being compassionate. And I think that the greatest healing, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna guess that the greatest healing I got from working with him was a week sitting in longing, in love and compassion for longing. And I went to a place where when I was abused as a child, that my mother hit me, and I found love there, love from my mother and love from her, which opened up a whole new world for me. So thank you for organizing this, for keeping his work going. And I, of course, thank Robert tremendously for all he has given to all of us, 500 people on the call. That's showing what a man this was. So thank you, everyone. And thank you to this community, because we all share something here about love and compassion and a world we want to live in. Thank you.
It sounds to me like it's hard for you to put into words how profoundly grateful you are. Like, to say that you're grateful doesn't even touch it, really. The impact has been enormous. Yeah, so I really get that. Thank you for sharing it, Rosa. Let's hear from one more person, and that would be Justine. I haven't given you any heads up, Justine, but if you're willing to go next, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. Just want, oh, my child is opening. No. C'est le moment pour moi de parler. Juste 2 secondes là. 2 secondes. I'm sorry, my child is just popping up in the c'est moi qui parle au milieu, tu peux le prendre. Okay, I just wanted to share that I met Robert in 2008 for 3 days, and it was just after my 2 first days of NVC, discovering NVC. And he took me for one exercise to be like in front of everybody to show how the work he would do. And it got so deep, so profoundly meeting, like helping me see what's inside of me, my longing for just feeling my existence. And it was so profound that I felt the energy liberated from this listening for 6 months. 6 months. And it was a great impact on me for wanting to practice and integrate NVC. And I'm so happy now, 15 years later, to celebrate certification and sharing myself now among with all the community of the trainers. It's a real, well, I really want to thank him for that now, because I've only met him 3 days again in my life, 10 years after. And it was again a lot of an example of compassion and welcoming the I don't manage to do it, and welcoming that, like I don't manage to do it. And it was, you could also welcome that and helping me welcome my I don't manage to do it. So, well, thank you very much. I'm sorry for the noise.
Thank you, Justine. No problem on my end about the noise with the kids. They seem to come in at just the right time. And thanks for sharing the impact. I'm sitting with the 6 months, almost like this echo, this vibrating echo that happened for you. So that to me, that's a powerful metaphor. Yeah. Okay. So we're moving towards closure now. Before I hand it back to Goni, I just want to really celebrate and invite you to celebrate NVC Rising for putting on this event. So if you'd like to show a little appreciation, maybe wave your hands a little bit so they can see that. Thank you, NVC Rising, for organizing this event. Obviously, several hundred people joined us. So I will turn it back to you, Goni, and let me know if there's anything else you want me to do, but otherwise, back to you.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm actually also in the gratitude moment. So I want to thank you also and thank Mary for leading us through this. And I also want to thank Filipa and Simone and Lou for assisting us, and to thank Henner and Shachar and Racheli that are also here with us and worked on this event very hard. I want to thank Ruth, Robert's wife, for putting into words the piece that Simone was reading. And I want to thank Robert. Yeah, and in order to thank him, we will also have in a little while a moment of silence. Racheli will take us through it. And before that, I just want to make another reminder, and to some extent also a celebration about the fundraising campaign of the family. This is, alongside wishing to have everyone here together, learning again with Robert. We really had the intention to support this campaign. And maybe, Hannah, you could share the screen of the campaign, if possible. I can say that through the event, these last 2.5 hours, let's say, we've seen that already around $4,000 were raised. And we are really hoping that more donations will arrive, maybe after the event. We really want to encourage you to spread the link to the fundraiser among your circles. We would really like to support the family and to cover for the medical bills. This is just, a strategy for us to show how we appreciate and how much we appreciate Robert. And we hope to find also more strategies in the future. And I also want to thank all the people who have shared in the breakout rooms and went through the exercise led by Robert. Just really thanking you for being open and being there, being present, sharing, and for those who were listening and witnessing. Racheli, I give the mic to you to take this last moment. I can say that after this moment, we will have the room open for another hour for people to share, but I will explain about that later.
Thank you, Goni. So I'm inviting all of us to take 1 minute for, it's going to be in silence, for gratitude. The invitation is for us to be opening our hearts to what we are feeling and for what we received from Robert over the years in the space of the heart. And then from there, from our hearts, sending this love to Robert's soul on its journey onwards. And then back to his family here on Earth. So we'll take 60 seconds of silence.
So thank you everyone for being with us. And thank you, Robert, for being with us. And we are going to close this evening event. Actually, for me, it's evening. For some people, it's morning. We're going to close this event. And we are going to leave the room open without any kind of facilitation. It's just going to be a place for people who are still wishing and perhaps needing space for sharing and connecting. Yeah, thank you all for being with us. If there is someone, yeah. If there is someone who is planning to stay in this next hour and would like to become a co-host, you're welcome to let us know, and we could hand on to you a co-host rights. How do you say that? Yeah. Rana?
I just want to express so much gratitude to those of you, Goni, Racheli, Shahar, Mary, Jeff, all of you. And I don't know where the seed came from to create this landing place for all of us. But I just want to say thank you to that seed, that tiny little knowing of the need to make this day happen in this beautiful, exquisite way that has changed me and brought the essence of Robert's work to be everlasting. And thank you.
Thank you, Rana. Thank you. People are welcome to also unmute themselves and express. I won't be holding this anymore as a facilitator or host. Thank you for actually letting me do that for the past 3 hours. I'm going to put my bed. Yeah.
Thank you for holding this space. I just know what a big thing it is for you to take time in the evening because you have a little baby, and I'm really enjoyed your holding, and I really appreciate that you took this. You made space for this. It was very supportive and lovely to have you holding the space.
Thank you. She's coming. I'm going to put her to bed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.